Hey everyone, if you've already seen the mock debate between Stefan Molyneux and Lauren Southern under the heading of Marxism versus Capitalism, then you probably may very well already be in the same mindset that I was during this whole debate. And I mean, it's appreciative to hear how well Lauren was at putting forth and presenting the alternative narrative in contrast, in direct contrast to capitalism, the Marxist argument, right? But what kept popping out to me during the entire debate, during the entire discussion was, well, how come Molyneux hasn't pointed out? And I figured, well, he's going to wait till the end of the video to then make his case, right? And it never quite got to there. That's why I'm making this video right now, so I can kind of interject my own particular opinion regarding the topic, regarding the subject. And I just wrote it down a little bit, so I made sure that I could properly articulate what my thoughts were at the moment, right? So I'm going to be reading from notes that I already put down, right? Just as a reminder to myself of how to stay on track instead of going off onto my own tangent, right? So when it comes to social or economic ideas or ideals, there is no one size fits all. This is why allowing the free market, and when people talk about the free market, all right, let's clarify, right? And something I love to do. Let's define the terms, the meanings of the words that we use. And when you're talking about a free market, you're just talking about free people. People that are allowed to freely choose their social economic methods or ways that they go forth in their life. That's really all that we're talking about when you're talking about the free market. You know, capitalism does have its own connotation, right? Just like Marxism, but free markets are just basically just free people. That's what free markets means. To be varied and offer multiple social economic systems to flourish is the only path to individual liberty and prosperity. Right? That's as with any other aspect of your life is, you know, the free market people and the free market of ideas and that ability to have choice. Really what it comes down to is the ability to have choice, right? I mean, that's of paramount importance considering the fact that, yeah, we're not the Borg, we're not all assembly line robots, right? Like, human beings are very much varied, and that's never changed throughout history. There's people that are always going to have varying opinions and preferences, especially when you're talking about politics or ideology or philosophy, right? And how we cohabitate and coexist amongst each other. That's going to be as real now as it was in the past, and it's going to be that same way in the future, as best as I can tell. Allow people to voluntarily choose which system or no system they participate in or prefer. It will at least do two things for certain. One, it will allow individual choice and freedom to exist peacefully in any particular country. And two, it will put on display with real world evidence which system is most appropriate and best suited for each individual in any particular geographical landmass, right? Just like you and think about it in every other aspect in your life, whether it's grocery shopping, clothes shopping, anything that you want to do. The fact that you have choice allows you not to have to just conform to a particular way of life or ideology or type of house or type of clothing. It allows you to somewhat customize those to suit your own particular preferences. So if you think about the culmination of all the debate and all the discussion that took place during this entire debate, it's really what it came down to is there were definitely good arguments. Lauren put forth and presented some great arguments for Marxist types, right? For collectivists, for that collectivist ideology, right? For communists, for socialists, for fascists, right? And, you know, there are people that do tend to lean that way, politically or socio-economically. You know, and as far as I'm concerned, and I'm sure Molyneux would agree, was, hey, as long as you don't impose that stuff on other people, then you know, as long as it's voluntary and you opt into that stuff, then if you want to create your own little commune or a little socialist endeavor, or even go pure fascist, well, as long as it's an opt-in situation or scenario, you do your thing, right? That's not up to me to judge or decide whether you should be allowed or be able to do that. That's what individual freedom is truly all about. Or a capitalist. If you're a full-on capitalist, whether you're a vulture type capitalist or more of a free market capitalist, allow both of those types to, enter into voluntarily agreements or arrangements with other people of the same mentality, right? And like I said, all you would have to do is allow allow this free market of ideas to exist and to flourish, and you would automatically and instinctively recognize which one would be most beneficial or suitable to your own personal preferences or ideology. That's really what it comes down to. So this whole debate, as much as I appreciate it, and it's great, there were a lot of things that were well articulated, and I think a person's intellect was probably heightened at least to a small degree from listening to this discussion or this debate. But once again, the most important thing I took away from this whole conversation, and it's same when I look at on the political landscape, is why does everyone feel they got to fucking force their own particular preferences, opinions, or ideologies on each other? Why can't we just allow, get back to the live, let live mentality, right? I think what it really comes down to is the collectivist types realize that, without the capitalists, without the ones that are producing, right? Our models probably won't work it well. But hey, maybe my opinion could be proven completely wrong. But that will only happen in the free market if people are allowed to choose voluntarily which way they want to go. And like I say, you will see with real world evidence, real world examples of which one is more beneficial to the individual. And like I said, even when you talk about the individual, some individuals might prefer the socialist model, right? And those that do, there should be no restrictions for them from going in and entering into some kind of voluntarily socialist exchange where they sacrifice themselves for the greater good or use that forced wealth redistribution model as a means to an end. Hey, if they want to go that way, as much as I may disagree with it myself personally, who am I to stop them from doing what they want to do? And who is anyone else? Who has the authority to prevent people from doing what they want to do as long as they're not harming or imposing their preferences or edicts or opinions on others? That's what freedom is all about. That's what freedom entails, is allowing other people to do what they want to do, whether you like it or not, right? As long as they're not imposing on you, then who are you to have any say to micromanage or dictate other people's lives, right? And as a subsequent follow-up to this whole discussion / debate, there was two other things that I wrote down here, and then once again I'm going to reference it from the notes I put down, but that I seen would be, it's not just beneficial to everyone and all actors involved domestically, but even in terms of some other questions that people might raise, right? So as a bonus, no one has to leave their country. So people say, hey, if you want your capitalism or your, go to whatever. If you like freedom so much or liberty and individual, hey, if you're so against government, well, go to Somalia or go to this other country, right? People always tell, or hey, or capitalists say, hey, if you like your socialism so much, go to Venezuela or go to some of these other failed socialist states, right? Or go to Cuba, right? Allowing the free market of ideas, allowing people to choose voluntarily which particular system that they want to participate in, nobody has to leave anywhere. You can do that in any particular geographical landmass. Now, if all of your neighbors are against you, you might choose to move to a different neighborhood, but you don't have to leave your particular country of origin or even your province, or if you're American, your state, right? It just means particular areas, just like if you go to any place in the country now, there are certain areas you might not want to live in, just depending on the type of people that live there, the type of demographics, or the particular type of social economic prosperity that you see in any particular place, right? So, in the country, like perfect example, if you live in the rural communities of New Brunswick, you're probably going to have to work in some aspect that has something to do with lumber or the trade of lumber, right? If you're not all about working in lumber, then you might want to go to a major urban center where there's different and varied occupations that have nothing to do with the lumber industry, right? So it's just, like I say, it's just an expansion on allowing people to have voluntary choice of where or what they want to adhere to politically or socially or economically. In addition to that, think about this aspect of it too. Any foreign invaders, so when people say, oh, well, we need one big giant monolithic government to protect the country of Canada from foreign invaders. Well, no. If you had multiple, right, competing factions, or even people that weren't necessarily competing, but multiple different political or social or economic systems, it would be much more difficult for any foreign invader to invade and take over that system. When you have one dominant system, they only have to take over that one system, and they gain the power and the authority, right? If you have multiple systems, then you don't have to worry about that. They would have to take over, they would have to be fighting on many fronts, right? It wouldn't be just one battle or one war against one particular faction or one particular government or one central planning entity. In a country that had many different competing political, social, or economic systems, well, they would have to try to dominate and take over all of them, which would make that task much, much more difficult. So if you're a socialist and you have that particular area that you choose to live in, and people are of that same mindset, or even if they're not all side by side, but you could voluntarily participate and choose to offer a portion of your income to create some kind of militia, or even if you want a standing army that's willing to defend and protect, your particular area or your particular ideals. Same with the people in the capitalist system, or those that want to propagate the capitalist system. Well, hey, listen, if you want to protect, just like in your home, if you want to protect your home, you might want to have an alarm, you might want to have some security, right? Whatever it needs that is a reflection of the direct threat that would be imposed on your particular home or your jurisdiction or your socioeconomic endeavors. So once again, it always comes down to, it's always going to prove to be individual freedom and the free market of ideas or ideals is the only path forward that everyone would be allowed to do their thing without feeling that they're oppressed or impeded or having an imposition put forth, presented towards them because of people that they don't necessarily align or agree with politically, socially, or economically. So really, anyways, I'm going to tie this up, but my final words in reference to this debate is the most important and poignant thing that could have been said subsequent to this discussion and debate is, hey, if you like your Marxism, have your Marxism. You just don't get to impose it on me. If you like your socialism, you can have your socialism. If you like your communism, do your thing. If you like your fascism, you all have to enter into that equation voluntarily. If you like capitalism, if you like free market, if you like libertarianism, if you like even just pure anarchy or no system at all. Hey, there's lots of, especially in Canada, there's millions and millions of acres in this country that if you don't even want to actively participate in any system, that you can go off and do your thing. And no one should think that they have any right to impose on your ability to just be free from any system completely. That's the only way. The free market, folks, this is the truth of the matter. At the end of the day, what it really comes down to, what you can really break it down to, is individual freedom means allowing the free market of ideas and the free markets of ideologies and the free market of political, social, or economic endeavors to flourish. That's the only way that everybody can truly be happy and feel like they're not being oppressed. And not just feel, but they just won't be oppressed because there won't be people that will have this pretense of authority over others. Remove that concept completely, of that full-on collectivism where everybody has to be forced into that one-size-fits-all. That's never going to work. Like I said, you would have to turn 7 billion at this stage, and who knows how many billions in the future of people into just like I say, assembly line robots. And that's never going to happen. And if it ever did happen, well, the human race would not function or represent what it is to be an individual. Then they would be literally just a collective, somewhat akin to the Borg. And I don't think any of us ever want to get to that point. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.